everyone, and welcome back to Identity Insights by Indicio. I'm your host, Tim Spring, and today I'm joined by Indicio's Chief Marketing Officer, Helen Garneau, and she's here to discuss how governments are benefiting from verifiable credentials with us today. Thank you for joining us, Helen. Would you mind starting us off with a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Helen Garneau, as you said. I'm head of marketing here at Indicio. I've been in the verifiable credential space for about 5 years or so. But on the topic of government, I did work at the U.S. Capitol building in a media logistics role for about 5 years in my 20s. And I was also a military spouse for about 15 years. So I think handling bureaucracy and government paperwork and navigating some of those systems is something that I think I'm pretty well versed in.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, excited to have you here with us. To start us off, would you give us kind of a broad definition of what do we mean when we say verifiable credentials?
Sure. Verifiable credentials are a tool in which you can establish trust online. And what does that mean, right? It means that now you can create a direct relationship, a direct connection between somebody else online. These could be two organizations, these could be two individuals. And you can share and communicate with that person knowing that the information that they are sharing with you is accurate and true. So, and this can also be done without having to establish a relationship with a third party. So the great example is logging in with a third party authenticator. So logging in with Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. Imagine being able to then access that relationship with that direct connection. And I think it's this idea of having instantly verifiable authentic data that is coming from a particular source. And so I look at verifiable credentials larger than just, say, identity, larger than just a person, but really any type of data coming from any other source once that established, that trusted relationship has been established.
Okay, so it definitely sounds pretty powerful and like something that everyone should care about. But why do governments care? What is kind of the value that governments are seeing in these credentials?
Sure. Well, I mean, governments at the end of the day are institutions that are there to help facilitate the economy, the world, the society, et cetera. I think we go into that in depth of what the role is of government. But at the end of the day, it's establishing, who that person is and serving them in the way that they want to be served and the way that they want to serve them. So, establishing who that person is, whether that's through a social security number and a date of birth, their name and address, who they are, who their organization is, who their business is, what their business is, and making sure that they're getting the services that they need, whatever that might look like for them. So when it comes to verifiable credentials, it's been really interesting to see how governments are interested in implementing them. So this could be things for reducing fraud, right? Making sure that the right person or the right business, the right entity, the right tax filer, whoever it might be, is that person and is who they say they are. They are looking at it for increasing efficiency, right? You have multiple agencies that are all sort of needing to work together to provide services to, meet the needs of their constituents, to, give business licenses out, to give food handlers permits licenses out, et cetera. So there's an efficiency aspect of it that, people need to navigate these systems to get their services, to file their taxes, to, get whatever, they need. And really the big one that we look at is security, right? These governments are the targets of breaches and hacks and all types of, nefarious acts. It's really important that our government is safe and secure and all the echelons from the lowest, from the most local to, the federal, intelligence world or what have you. it's really important that these services, the people accessing the information are who they say they are, and they're accessing what they need to access and no more, no less. So, when you look at that sort of efficiency, fraud, and security, those are really kind of the three pillars of what we're seeing time and time again in terms of governments who are interested in verifiable credentials.
All right. So how do credentials actually like accomplish those goals, right? You mentioned, security, fraud, efficiency. Is there like a use case you could maybe walk me through of, I'm trying to start a business and this is how a verifiable credential could kind of help me get that done better, faster, more secure.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's a great example of starting a business. What, say like a restaurant. I think there's a great statistic in one of our most recent blogs that talks about needing 16 different licenses to open a restaurant. So and that could be that could be from your building permits to your how you're going to manage your waste to who you're hiring, to if each of those those employees have the right permits and food handlers permits and things like that. So it's taking that information and being able to issue it once, and that individual being able to go into the right office at the right time and the right agencies and in the right order of things, and being able to prove unequivocally that that information is correct from person to person. So I always like to joke that, I'm here at Indicio working to put big clipboard out of business. If I never have to fill out a paper document with a pen and a clipboard again, it will be too soon. Like I'm over it. I'm over, filling out forms in triplicate and faxing them off to some, faceless person and hearing back from them, hopefully in 7 to 10 business days, if not holiday, if it's not interrupted by holidays. So I think, from that aspect, it's a way to verifiable credentials can be used to make systems and processes, again, more efficient, move faster, and be more welcoming to people, being able to navigate systems and navigate the bureaucracies in a way that is quick and understandable. If somebody has a learning impairment, or they don't speak the right language, or they are dyslexic or what have you, like we want to create these systems, and governments need to foster these systems that are inclusive in a way that actually helps everybody, the most, the maximum help for the maximum amount of people. And that's what I think, when I think of verifiable credentials, it's just that ability to help people have a better life.
Awesome. I think that is a great goal for every company to have, really. So I know, obviously, right, Indicio has put these into place in a couple different places and organizations, governments. Would you be able to tell me a bit more about a government use case that you were really a part of and how that went?
Yeah, I think you're talking about Aruba, which is my favorite thing to talk about. I've had the pleasure of being in Aruba a couple of times for some of the milestones down there for the work that Indicio has done with our partner CETA, with CETA and the government of Aruba. And it's been awesome to watch the light bulbs really go off over the heads of all of these officials and the people who are really making the decisions about the future of the lives of the people and the travelers who are going to Aruba. And the idea with this use case is Aruba was looking for a way to make it easier for travelers to enjoy coming to Aruba. They wanted, shorter queues, lines going over, through the border, across the border to be able to enter the country. They wanted to be able to make sure that all of the information that they were receiving was accurate, was verifiable. They wanted to make sure that, they weren't holding on to a bunch of data and it wouldn't be a huge security issue. They wanted to make sure it was GDPR compliant for all of, the huge amount of European travelers, especially, but now California travelers from Illinois, they're the regulatory kind of burdens, if you will, that organizations and also governments are having to meet now, they're just increasing, which is it's a good thing overall, right? Privacy policies are great, and we want people to, be safe and secure and have that privacy preservation at the core of what they do with their own information. And so meeting all those needs it's a complex problem. So looking at open source based technologies was paramount. Privacy preserving technologies was paramount. And then standards-based, open standards that are globally recognized. So they're not just building something that only Aruba is ever going to use. This is the start of technology that can be used across borders going in and out of Aruba. So taking open standards from the digital travel credential from IATA, and then wrapping the digital travel credential with in a verifiable credential. So now you have the information from a passport, a digital passport on your phone, and now you can take it and present that information ahead of time to the country of Aruba, who then can verify it ahead of time. So it's not just a person having to scan something and fumbling with, where's my passport? I know I left it on the plane or whatever, but it is this streamlined system that is completely in the control of the person, of the traveler, of the person holding that passport. But it's done digitally. Like it's weird to say sometimes because it feels like it should be such a no-brainer. It feels like, of course, you should be able to like send your information somewhere digitally and it should be accurate. But that's not always the case. The alternatives have third parties that hold on to the data. The alternatives are having to take all kinds of biometric scans that are then held for long periods of time and giving up, relinquishing a lot of control over your own data. And that's just not what the system does. This is the, kind of antithesis of that, where you actually have the person the night before they travel, 2 days, a week before they travel, sitting in their living room, taking their passport out of their pocket, scanning it, and then establishing a direct connection with the government of Aruba and sending them that information. I mean, forget usernames and passwords, forget paper-based systems. This is the system of that technology should be at. All of technology, in my opinion, should be using verifiable credentials. Again, back to down with big clipboard. I mean, honestly, if I never have to fill out a paper with my name and address and triplicate again, it'll be too soon. So it's been really cool to see them, the government of Aruba, see the power of this technology, again, with efficiency, fraud, and security, and really seeing now the possibilities of where it could go, because it's just going to expand from here.
Absolutely. No, you touched on a lot of really cool things there. I particularly enjoyed, being able to share it digitally as someone who's almost lost my passport in the crack of a seat before. It just seems unnecessary. But you mentioned it going right outside of Aruba and across borders. How close do you think we are to that kind of mass adoption? If a government says, "Oh, I want that," how easy is it for them to get started and kind of join that system?
Yeah, well, I mean, historically, the open source community who really, where verifiable credentials and self-sovereign identity and some of these concepts originally started from, this is the golden ring, right? This is what they've all been going after, is starting with a government issued identity. This is it. This is that government issued identity, and then being able to use that identity in different contexts. And because it's built on open source, on using open standards, this is not proprietary, governments can pick it up and get moving with it in a matter of days. Like, that's the funny thing now, is it's so easy to use. It's so easy to integrate. This is not rip and replace technology. An organization can fit Indicio Proven, which is our implementation of these open standards technologies and open source technologies, and they can fit it right onto any data source. So you could just be a verifier, and that's fine. And somebody could show up again with their DTC, and you could just verify their name and whatever information that relationship requires. But you could also be an issuer. So say you are from another country and you're another country's government, and you want to do, I don't know, like visas, or you want to do, visas for travelers, right? And so, oh, you want to, I think last time I went abroad, it was like $25 to get a visa for a particular country. That is made possible now digitally ahead of time, and again, a privacy preserving, efficient, secure way, with the use of this technology. It is not a huge lift to implement. And that's really the message we're trying to get out now is this is ready today. It's usable today. It's totally within everyone's reach.
All right, awesome. Well, it looks like that brings us to the end of our conversation for today, Helen. I appreciate you taking the time to join us once again. If you at home are interested in learning more about verifiable credential technology, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to bring you some more educational content as well as updates from the latest in the open source community. If you have any questions or specific topics that you'd like for us to cover, please go ahead and leave a comment below and we'll be sure to read and address them. And thank you again to you, Helen. If someone wanted to learn a bit more about the technology, where would you suggest they look for additional, sources of information?
I would go to indicio.tech and tap on that contact us button in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. We read every single message that comes in all day. And it's fun to see the folks, the different types of people that reach out, but we read them all. And so if you want to talk to us more, you want demos, whatever, there's tons of demos on our YouTube page, so check that out. But yeah, contact us. We'd love to talk.